through a process of 7 questions in regards to filling the position of vacant council marathon for the remainder of this term, which will run right through till October of 2022. So we've set up about 15 to 20 minutes roughly for individuals to answer the questions and give an opportunity to speak on questions, and we'll go through this process till all 5 are done, and we'll have an in-camera meeting to discuss the results after this process, open public meeting. So with that being said, our first candidate is Mr. David Lowndes. So we're inviting you down, Mr. Lowndes, to the front, and we'll get into the process right. So good afternoon, Mr. Lowndes.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Excellent. How are you doing?
So what we've done, as you can see, that this room is set up so that we can have individuals spread out far enough through the COVID process, and there's water there for you. And if you feel uncomfortable at any time, you can put your mask on or whatever your choice is. But there's enough distance between each person in the room to be comfortable, but that's an individual choice. So right off the bat, Mr. Lowndes, I'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself to start off the process.
Okay, I've been in marathon since I was before I was a teen, and I grew up here. I started to work for the town of Marathon roughly in about 1981, and I retired 5 years ago. I worked for Public Works. I have a small business. I have 3 children here in town, and I've got 7 grandchildren, and I'm involved in as much as I can around town. And I've had a towing company here in town, and I've been on the fire department here in town for a few years. I there until I reached the level of a captain, and then I retired from that also. And that's about me.
That's good. I appreciate that. So we'll go right into the questions, and we'll start off with Councillor Lake, and this is question number 2 for you, Mr. Lowndes.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Lowndes. So the question is kind of a 2-part question. First is, what's your understanding of the role and responsibility of a councillor for the town of Marathon? And then subsequent to that, what skills, interests, or personal qualities do you think that would help you be a good candidate for the vacant councillor position?
Okay, I'm pretty sure the council position is helping to run the town and make sure that everything's running smooth and try to keep everything organized and look after personal safety and run the budget. And I've been like with Public Works for 30 years, so I know the outside works very, very well. I've been into water, sewer, roads, all that kind of stuff, and I know roughly how it all works and how it all costs, and what we have to do and what has to be done for safety's sake. And hopefully everybody works together and everybody's safe and we save as much money as possible.
Okay, Mr. Lowndes, we got next one, Councillor Kavner is going to ask a question. Just for your knowledge, both are 2 young. So we're going to involve them in the process of asking questions as well. Thank you.
Tell us about our community and the challenges that we face.
Well, grow too fast, maybe. We got to be careful how fast we try to grow, that they're dangling the carrot that the other mine is going to open, and that just that we don't just jump and say, yes, we can afford it because it's going to happen. Because that other mine has been dangling around since 60s, 70s. So, you know, it's going to happen someday, but is it going to be in our lifetimes? So you don't want to go spending crazy money. And we've got to keep what we do have operating, and we got to make sure our infrastructure and all our equipment all in very good shape, and keep a very good staff, and at least maintain what we got and try to grow as we can afford it.
Just don't mind us for just trying to write down as many as possible. get a good overview of your comments, Councillor Browns.
All right, so I'm up next, and this will be question 4. When you think about what makes Marathon a great place to live, work, and play, what comes to mind?
Friendly people.
Anything else?
Well, the golden hub of the North Shore, we are I would say the farthest ahead municipality. We have the most, well, entire now Tim Hortons. We are the biggest growing municipality. So there is a lot more for people. If you're relocating to the north, the chances of relocating to Marathon is a little bit better than to one of the things that don't quite have as much to offer.
You know, that's good. Councillor Browns?
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Mitchell.
All right, so question 5 here. Has some potentially exciting developments in the work. What is your understanding of these developments?
Well, that goes back to my first, my question before. It's been promising development for a lot of years. And sure, they are saying they've got their environmentals, they've got all this, but you still don't see pole lines going into the property. And there are still a lot of things that got to be developed before we can start cheering that it's done. So I'll take it nice and slow and keep going. It is very good that we're getting the fiber into town. It is very good that this hydro went through. So in great possibility that mine is definitely going to go, and it should be maybe within 4 or 5 years. So I think Marathon's got a very good future. And even though Barrick is having problems, whatever they say they're doing, I think they're the little train that can. So I think they're going to keep going. So our future should look pretty good.
Okay, Councillor Boucher.
What prompted you to put forward your application?
I ran for council at the beginning, and I was just, the town has given me an awful lot. I just figured if I could maybe try to give something back, it was time that I tried. And I'm retired, so I've got lots of time to be out looking, doing whatever needs to be done and helping out as much as I possibly could.
Okay. With that all being said, Mr. Lowndes, we think most of us made enough notes on some of those questions that were just asked of you. I would like you now, do you have any questions for council at this time in regards to the process, the role, and anything that might step out to you that you need to know about the council?
No, it's going to be a very big learning curve for me. I'm going to, I'm not going to try to come in and say I'm Mr. Counselor. I've got a lot to learn, and we've got a very decent council. So I think it's a good council to try to get and learn under that when everybody knows their role and knows their spot, you know.
Okay, anything else with him?
Nope, I'm pretty good. I'm willing to learn, so.
Okay, so that was just the formal process of that. Like I said, we have 4 other individuals coming in today. We're going to do all the process of interviews today, and we will have a discussion at the end of this, and there'll be notification given to the successful candidate after that process.
Very good.
So I appreciate, thank you for coming in, Mr. Browns. At the same time, thank you for putting your interest forward, because it shows that you are interested in the community. And from what I gather, your interest, you still have a very much passion for the community. A good place to continue to live. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
Appreciate it.
it?
Yep,
Okay,
thanks. See you later.
okay, thank you.
Definitely hopefully someone knows the. knows-
Above the street or below.
Yeah, above and below, exactly, right?
Yeah.
That's like the government's part. I was always prepared with that.
Yeah, see, like the government part is what I'm gonna
Yeah.
want. But outdoors, and like even still the guys that are doing
Mr. Wilson, how you doing? Come on in, sit down right in the middle there, sir.
Center, excellent.
Nice hot chair for you. How are you?
Hi, fantastic.
Great.
You probably don't know what Lauren and Kate look like without masks.
I have forgotten. This is, so what are the mask protocols at the
Your
table?
choice. So if you'd like to keep it on.
Thank you for the choice.
Same way we all feel.
I bet, yeah, what a welcome relief.
Yes, so good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Wilson. And you know, the process we're going through interviews today with 5 to the position of the replacement counselor. So we have roughly 7 questions to ask, and we're going to share the questions amongst councils and get right to the process. And we have all the abilities over the next half an hour roughly to answer your best ability. And we'll make notes, and then at the end of the process, we will have an in-camera meeting to discuss the various comments from individuals and make a decision. And then the individual who's successful will be notified from administration.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Great, thank you very much. So right off the bat, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Thanks for the question. So I was born and raised and I lived here for the first about 20 years of my life. My very first job was working for the town of Marathon, developing the coastal trail system. My family has been in Marathon since the early 1960s, and Marathon has always been home, even for the 13 years that I was away as an educator in Geraldton before by a twist of fate, home called me back. I take great pride in living here, and I was very excited when the opportunity arose for me to come back here because of what I said, it's home. I'm connected to the natural features of our community. A weird personal relationship with Lake Superior, but more importantly, I see Marathon as an incredible community with lots of potential. It's a community where I am not just proud to be a resident, but I'm proud to raise a family here. I compare Marathon communities and municipalities where my friends live, both similar in size as well as much larger and some smaller. And I just think that we're a community mind place to be. We're a place that has great relationships. We're progressive, and I pride myself on being connected. And to that end, I'm a volunteer. I've been involved with volunteer initiatives in my time growing up in Marathon, with everything from Scouts Canada to Holy Savior Parish, to, as an adult today, a volunteer with NOSH, where I sit on as a board member. I've watched Marathon grow as well. I remember being knee-high to a grasshopper when Hemlo started. And I remember vividly as, you know, the trees were knocked down to make way for Hemlo. And so I've been here long enough to change and just remain passionate about those changes. I'm also an active facility user. I'm no stranger to the arena and the pool. My daughter's active in figure skating. And I take pride in those facilities too. I take advantage and routinely encourage people I come in contact with to take advantage of the programs, the services, and the amenities that we have here. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm also an educator. I've been about 17 or 18 years, to the point where it's starting to lose track of the years. And I've been the principal of Marathon High School for the past 3 years. So deeply committed to the community. I see myself, God willing, being here for the rest of my life. As this is home.
Great, thank you very much for that. We'll go back over to Councillor Debuchy. He's going to get to the second question for you, please.
Excuse me. What is your understanding of the role and responsibility of councillor for the town of Marathon? And the second part of that is, what skills, interests, and personal qualities do you possess that make you a good candidate for that position?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Debuchy. My understanding is that number one, serves as the CAO's boss, and also to work as a liaison between administration and the general public. The council is a body that exists to develop policies and protocols and provide oversight through governance, fiduciary governance to those policies and procedures and continue to work to uphold the value a marathon is built on. I think I have an incredibly diverse skill set to follow through with those roles and responsibilities. Again, my day-to-day as principal of school, I live by policy and procedures. Policies and procedures guide my decisions. And we know that sometimes the decisions that we make are really challenging decisions, but we have to own them and we have to be confident in those decisions. Even when people are not always in agreement with those decisions. And I believe I have that quality. I believe that I can remain firm in those decisions when they're connected to those policies. I also I am very strong with communication. I don't shy away from challenging conversations. I in fact invite them. I love to know when things aren't going the way people want them to go. And sometimes that means going back to those policies, means rethinking the policies altogether and being able to come back to a forum such as council or a board of directors or as a staff and to sit down and think, is this what we're really on about? Representing the needs of the people we serve. So again, I think I have those communication skills. I have some knowledge of governance. So again, with the work that I've done with various volunteer organizations, from the good folks at the Geraldton Curling Club all the way to the fine folks at the North Healthcare Group, an understanding of how governance works from senior executive teams to a board of directors. I've mentioned a little bit about decision making, and again, having to have that confidence in make decisions. My understanding with a municipal council is that we know that costs are increasing, infrastructure is starting to age, and people certain base level of services, and there are some difficult decisions that lie in the future, and I'm comfortable making those decisions for the greater good. The last thing that I will mention for skills is just relationships. I firmly believe in the power of relationships. Every relationship that I've ever been in, both personal and professional, is built on communications, honesty, and transparency, with a little bit of accountability probably thrown in there too. And I pride myself on that. I'm constantly working with a variety of individuals, from youth, parents, community members in my day-to-day, and I think that I'm good at that, and I think that I would serve the town of Marathon and Marathon residents very well with that skill set. Thank you.
Mr. Mistrix.
So question number 3 here. Tell us about our community and the challenges we face.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Mistrix. I would say that there are a couple of key challenges right now, and I sort of alluded to them in my earlier answers. Number one is the economy is without a doubt that is on everybody's mind now. What does that mean for Marathon specifically? Well, I think about revenue coming in through tax bases, and I think about the empty waterfront. I think that we need to have money coming in because it ties into the next, which is aging infrastructure. I think of the time that I lived in Geraldton for 13 years, and Geraldton infrastructure was definitely coming to an aging point. Water main failures and sewer replacement projects. And I look around at some of the infrastructure in Marathon, like say the rec complex as an example, and I think, it's probably getting close to the end of its life, but money doesn't grow on trees. But if we had a strong economy, and I applaud council and administration's efforts on the work that they've done to try to attract investment in the community. But if we had some of that sustainable tax income flowing through, then we would be able that other area, which is the failing infrastructure. I see a challenge of an aging population in our community, the aging population impacting housing, impacting some of those other infrastructure concerns that I've talked about, and even impacting the cost of living within the community. Those are areas that certainly come to mind. Are limited to those 3. Thank you.
Great, thanks for that response. Councillor Balance with question number 4, please.
All right. When you think about what makes Marathon a place to live, work, and play, what comes to mind?
Well, Councillor Valance, the immediate answer is Lake Superior. I mean, our proximity to Lake Superior makes us a unique community. Having undeveloped or limited developed waterfront is such an amazing place to go after a tough day. Where am I going to go after being in an interview? I'm probably going to go and seek solace at the shores of Lake Superior. We have this incredible natural environment in our community that just, you know, it really does re-energize our minds, our bodies, and our souls. So the other thing with Lake Superior is we have a deep water port. So you think about for working, all of the unbelievable advantages that could afford employers, developers, and the business world. Everything from shipping and receiving to even harnessing the power of Lake Superior for 21st century technologies. I think of Marathon's geographic proximity as well. We're far enough away from urban sprawl, and we still have a relative lifestyle in Marathon, but still, you know, only a few hours away from a major airport and shopping. Marathon has so many amenities and features for a community of its size. It's hard not to be excited about what we have. And again, my experience living in other small communities really puts it into perspective what Marathon has. And it really gives me the perspective to ensure that we have a base level of those amenities moving forward to continue to draw working and playing in town.
Great, awesome. Councillor Kavner, please.
Marathon has some potentially exciting developments in the works. What is your understanding of these developments?
The question, Councillor Kavner. I would say the biggest and most exciting project is the mining project that is on the books. And I'm actively involved as somebody who has put in some stakeholder that project. I'm excited about all of the good things that could come with economic development derived from a reinvigorated, very local mining project. However, I'm not ignorant of some of the considerations that need to be made with respect to everything from environmental protection to housing, to the impact on our infrastructure. That would definitely be the biggest project. I understand that there are also active for housing developments, for hotel motel accommodation development. I know all of those things are actively happening as well. And those are very exciting new people into our community who will then get excited by how awesome Marathon is. And they will also bring secondary and maybe tertiary investments through support organizations, through small manufacturers and service industries and the like. We've seen that in the last 12 months in Marathon, and we see that the excitement that even these small businesses bring when something new opens up. So very excited about some of the work happening for the large scale economic projects. And I hope the question, Councillor.
Councillor Lake.
What prompted you to put your application forward at this point?
I have a whole section I've written. And then I just thought of the why while I was sitting outside. So I wrote it in pen. I work in an organization where I am trying to be a model for youth. And I talk about the importance of taking risks. I also talk about, just bluntly, to put your money where your mouth is when something comes up. And, all of us like to armchair whatever it is we're doing, from watching sports to council meetings. And so, sometimes we have to take those risks, and sometimes we have to demonstrate to the people in our spheres of influence that putting our names out there is really important. It can be scary and it can be intimidating, but it gives you voice and it gives you value. And I think that's my key reason. I mentioned already my passion for this community. Again, the call that I got about 3 years ago to come back to Marathon was unexpected, but largely celebrated. To be able to raise my family, my young daughter, in a community that is so progressive, respectful, with so many opportunities, is just to be a part of that, to steer those decisions is awesome. And then I look at those skills that I mentioned earlier, the communication skills, the governance skills, the decision-making skills. And I think what an opportunity to work with an incredible group of people some of my skills as Marathon moves in the recover from COVID stage into the let's see what good things are going to come stage. So really, really excited about that. And then I also think probably some untapped opportunities that we haven't considered yet. Thinking about tourism, thinking about how do we increase Marathon's profile on maps? How do we capitalize on all of these residents of Ontario, Canada, and the United States chomping at the bit to travel? How do we make sure that Marathon's something that they think of when they're making their travel plans? But it's really what I said first. It's, it's hard to criticize an organization. A lot of criticism for the town of Marathon, but it's hard to criticize without taking those steps to put your money where your mouth is. And that's why I'm here. I want to be part of a progressive, awesome, strong organization, but I also want to look at the students and staff and parents that I deal with and be able to say, yeah, you know what, there's nothing wrong with sitting at a table and taking some questions. And then you can walk away from that opportunity feeling pretty good about yourself. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We'd like to know if you have any questions of us in regards to the process and the position or any in regards to council. So.
I feel like the question and answer session that was 30 minutes went a lot faster, but that's always the case when I'm on the other side of the table too. I want to thank you for the opportunity. Again, the opportunity to spend some time on council would be absolutely phenomenal for so many reasons. If you don't have any questions about the process, that's expressed pretty clearly on the town's website. I understand about the in-camera meeting on the 14th. I understand, I suppose, that there is some training with regard to legislation, roles, responsibilities in the municipal sector for councillors.
Yes, typically what happens in the actual election process, Mr. Olson, you will be offered an opportunity through AMO to have some training processes. So in this regard, there might be some assistance given to the individual who's accepted and approved for the position to get them up to speed. But because we're in such a short end of the tape this term, it might be a bit of a struggle for that process to after the election in October of 2022, there's always the opportunity through the training processes of AMO to get a councillor and mayor's training, get up to speed on the process, policies, procedures, on governance model of councils, right? So there's opportunities. I don't know in this short window of administration whether there'll be an opportunity for that if the individual is successful.
Well, there'll be, I guess, two things that come to mind. One is obviously we scheduled our code of conduct training until we choose the candidate to fill the position, so they can partake in that as well. We've also asked that we're going to include some ethics training with respect to that. Then, of course, administratively, we'll put together a comprehensive orientation for the successful candidate, which will likely be a binder of legislative materials to read. And then, of course, I'll be happy to spend as much time as the successful candidate needs of administration to learn the process and jump in what's to be like a pretty busy 6 months as we lead up to the October election.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Skrichinski, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. And again, this council's always had the opportunity to have a great relationship with the CAO, as you stated from the onset. Your interview was that we are the CEO as possible. The same thing, we have a relationship with that individual that makes this team a very successful and progressive team, because that is where the strength is in our community and our leadership is. So whoever the successful candidate would be hopefully molding into that process with council administration as well, to make sure there's not I guess that outside forces to coming in to disrupt I think in regards to this team has been together for a long time, even with our new councillor, student councillor, and councillor Valens. Myself and Councillor Lake have been together for quite a while as a team, and had some new people. And so it is a great atmosphere, and we want to continue to see that at least till October of 2022. We can't go beyond. At least till then, anyway. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it, and we will be informing the individual successful after the process.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, councillors, and I appreciate the time, the questions, and the opportunity to be at this luxurious table. Excellent.
Thanks.
Cheers.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
Thanks.
Slide it over. Thanks, Lauren.
And we have enough space set up in the council chambers to address the COVID concern. So if you feel comfortable taking your mask off, it's up to you. If you want to keep it on, it's also.
It's gone.
Great.
And there's water there.
Thank you for coming in this afternoon. As you know, there was 5 candidates that applied for the position to replace the councillor's vacancies. We go through 7 questions with our team and ask you those questions, including our team. And you can give us your answers based on your ability to answer them. And we will then go through a process of discussing those comments from the individuals that applied. And we will we'll make a decision, and that the administration will be back in touch with the individual successful after the process.
Okay.
Okay. So right off the bat, we'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Yes, I prepared something here. I'm just going to read it. Thanks. Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Darlene Cross. By trade, I'm an engineer, but presently I work part-time for the Naval Reserves, and I am a seasonal driver. I moved to Marathon 15 years ago, and since then I've been active in the community. For example, under volunteering, I have 12 years with the Marathon Fire Department, and I put in 6 years with the animal shelter. Been on 2 town. One, I was the chair. I ran for council elections twice. And in 2017, I created a club I called Toasters, which I ran out of my house. This past community involvement has given me working on a team, accountability, as well as prioritizing both my needs and the team's. Public relations, communication, listening, empathy. And research, seeing the big picture and debating ideas to get buy-in. What has drawn me to politics is the desire to be a part of the decision-making for the community. I look forward to hearing people's ideas and perspectives, to learn their history, and most importantly, to provide them representation and the respect they deserve. I'd like to share with you some projects on my vision board. Number 1, the development of a Sea Cadet program in Marathon would teach youth skills as well as the potential for summer employment through the Coast Guard and the Royal Canadian Navy. In addition, knowing we already have an Air Cadet program, my vision may support a partnership or a strengthening of that program. So number 2, industrialization of the Marathon Harbor Dock. Is the James River Dock. I would be interested to know if Generation Mining will use this dock to ship materials like concentrate off-site. I'd also like to see a search and rescue station here, a Coast Guard, a helipad, as well as other long-term ideas.
You don't mind me stopping you right there.
Okay.
I seem like you have a whole presentation that's great, but there are 7 questions that are going to relate to a lot of those things that you have in your presentation. It might be more appropriate for those question process. It's up to you, but I think the first part was just about who you are, and then from there, the questions that are going to be posed to you are probably going to allow you to answer a lot of those things you see for the vision of the community. So you could either continue that, or you can wait through the question process and see if they fit into your presentation.
Well, I'm on my last page. Is it okay? I got a flow here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And here's my number 3. Okay, shop in Marathon shopping app. This would take you to the upcoming T-Bay-Tel fiber optic improvements to our internet. Essentially, the app would allow residents to view exclusively Marathon-only shopping opportunities, eliminating having to search for business postings via Facebook and or going to the store's website to download flyers and coupons. So what do I bring to the council? I bring professionalism, leadership, and flexibility. And I'm someone who is passionate about the long-term viability of the community. I'd like to close with a t-shirt promotion for Marathon, and it would read, "You can wait to go to heaven, or you can come to Marathon." Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm ready.
So that's great. So we'll get ready for the questions. We'll start with question number 2.
Yeah, thank you. So Ms. Krebs, and again, I think I've answered some of this, but you could maybe go further. So the question is, what's your understanding of the role and responsibilities of a councillor for the town of Marathon? And then what skills, interests, and personal qualities do you possess that would make a candidate?
Well, roles and responsibilities, certainly you're a counselor, so you follow your chain of command, which would be, of course, your mayor. Likewise, you need to work with your administration, like your CAO and all these other people who are the experts, really. And they're going to give you that information to help you to, I guess, formulate a really good, represent what the people want, you know, get that nice harmony balance. Does that help? And what and what I bring that that helps me to fulfill those requirements is, you know, like I'm volunteer on the fire department. I work with people of various skill levels, and they're my partners. I have to work with them. Plus, I gain a command. I have a lieutenant I follow. I have a captain. I have my actual chief. And then there are the laws, you know, you have the police, you have the ambulance. We certainly listen to our paramedics to help what we do next. And then I can pick on other things, I suppose. With the Navy, I mean, you don't have too much flow. Follow a very strict chain of command. I'm actually an officer in the Navy, so I actually have people under me that I do direct, and I expect to obey me. But I mean, I'm not going to be a mean person. Work in harmony with everybody on town council. Okay. Does that help? Because I know there's governance, and that's where the whole concept of governance comes from. You've got your standard operating procedures or guidelines. You've got your very well-informed administration that's going to give you excellent advice. And I'll stop talking.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gardner?
Tell us about our community and the challenges we face.
Population, number one. I'll tell you, like, that I opened that little club of my own. I only ran it for a year, and it wasn't, I only had 3 people attending, but it was in my house, of course. I'm not expecting a big number. But what I was trying to model it after was Toastmasters International, which I've been a past member of. To be a legal chapter, you have to have 20 paying people, la, la, la. And we can't just do that here in Marathon. That's why, because we don't have the population, right? That's why I just called it Toasters, and I created my own system. So population, definitely a problem. Like, I'm just even thinking some of us are on the hockey, we play hockey, and we understand we don't have all the members coming, but everybody wants to be part of it. Everybody's so busy in our community. So anyway, sorry. So everybody is there's no apathy. I don't see that here. So population is an issue. Facilities could be another issue. I really club really miss that, and that's about it. Actually, I think everything else is pretty. We have everything else. We have their swimming and hockey, which I love. Was that good enough, or would you like a little more? You okay?
Do you have anything that you?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay, I guess I'm up next.
Councillor Brown, so you-
Okay, question 4. When you think about what makes Marathon a great place to live, what comes to mind?
Well, it's a good hub, you know, halfway, well, you know, essentially halfway between the Sioux and between Thunder Bay. And we've got a really good harbor as well. Like, I think we're a respect distance from Thunder Bay that I thought it could be feasible. We could have a Coast Guard here and things like that, search and rescue, because the other search and rescues are pretty far away. Like, I can give you where they are. Sorry about that. Yeah, we have one in Thunder Bay, of course. We have one in North Bay and one in Tobermory, which is Lake Huron. So it's So that's why I thought the feasibility of having something that would be pretty cool. What else makes, yeah, I think just that we're well located. We've got the highway. We've actually got a rail system. It'd be so lovely if we get passenger rail, but I guess that's never going to happen. I don't know. It'd be lovely if we could fix up our airport to take slightly heavier planes, because especially with the mining industry and or everyone basically go to remote locations to work, it would be lovely to have that. Okay, is that good? Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor Mischicks, please.
So for question 5 here, Marathon has some potentially exciting developments in the work. What is your understanding of these developments?
Well, the harbor front, I suppose, because I'm on the committee, so right on. I know a little bit there, and I've got lots of more ideas. I hope so. I hope to continue with that next year. Another grant, that would be lovely, because I want to spend it. And then, of course, we got generation mining opening up potentially, or for sure, in the summer, I guess. Breaking ground. So that, wow, that would be really great. What other great things? Well, the liquid propane coming here. I was reading, I don't know if you can help me with this. I was reading last year that, yeah, we're going to have in Red Rock, and then they were going to ship to us, but I don't know what's going on in Red Rock right now to verify that. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Sorry. If you got more.
Councillor Debussy.
What prompted you to put your application forward at this point?
Oh, I have history. As I said, I tried for town council there, the elections, I ran. And then actually, even before that, there wasn't a room for an interim, excuse me, counselor, and I actually applied for that too. So yeah, and I just think it's really cool. I said I just wanted to be a part of the community decision-making process. I'd like to hear other people's ideas, you know, because everybody's going to be putting something out there. And to understand, yeah, the governance, I like that word, sounds cool, but understand how the administration works as well, you know, how they help to balance the decisions.
Great. So in closing, Ms. Cross, do you have any questions? Council in regards to the position, the role, the responsibilities, and then you could think of that you might have a question of us that you're not clear on the process.
Well, actually, I was able to chat with Chantal Gingras a little bit about this too. So she helped to fill me in what it involves. And I've been reading, I've been trying to read a little bit, you know, about understanding the whole idea of government or, well, council. And so I think I'm good, actually. I'm comfortable. I'm very keen and interested to get my feet wet, sort of thing.
Great. Anything else you might have?
No, I'm good, sir.
So as I stated at the beginning, the process will be interviewing all 5 individuals. We will then debate, and the individual successful, that individual will be notified, and then of course the process will take place over the next several weeks.
Okay.
And we'll move on to the fall election if that individual so chooses.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
I-
Thank you.
So I'll hop out here. Right on. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thanks. Oh, right on. Thanks a bunch.